David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with a special announcement. A couple of months back, I released my second project, which was the Leonardo Momento Zero in Carolina Midnight. That project has been completed, and all customers have their pens, and it was a lot of fun seeing everyone's reaction on social media once they had their pens in hand. I did see a couple of people sell their pens. That's inevitable. That's what's going to happen. Now, while that pained me a little bit to see, because you want everyone to love the pen and cherish it, it's very difficult to please every single one of 300 customers. It was nice to see that when a couple of folks put them up for sale, that they were quickly snatched up. And I noticed one was even sold for more than the original purchase price. So I'm confident these pens are headed to good homes. Okay, now for the announcement. After this project was completed, there were a small number of leftover rods. This is what the raw material looks like. Jonathan Brooks sent me these 4 examples of 4 different kind of versions of the pen we were talking about, and then I got to choose which ones of these. And he actually kind of makes these so that he puts it down so that that's kind of more what the pen is going to look like, and this is more the raw material. But this is what the rods look like and what is turned into pens. So we had a few extra rods, and that we decided to produce a very small run of Momento Zero Grandes, tricked out with gold nibs, Ebonite feeds, a piston filling system, and a very cool ruthenium trim. There will be only 15 of these pens, and I will make them available to purchase on Saturday, April 16th at noon Eastern Time. But I'll provide additional details about the sale here in a bit, but to begin with, let's take a look at this pen. It arrives in this fairly large box. Inside, you take the sleeve off, and the real box is inside here. And then we lift this up, and there's a couple of things. There is some information about Leonardo. And then there is a use and care booklet with some marketing information. In the back of the booklet, I actually sign each one of these and add the number to your particular pen. I've done that with all of my previous projects. Then we have a bottle of blue Leonardo ink. And then, most importantly, let's set this aside, we have the pen. This is the Momento Zero Grande in Carolina Midnight. Just as a comparison, this is the standard size, so you can see how much taller the Grande is. The main comment I kept hearing from customers was how the Jonathan Brooks resin really looked great in the pictures, but even better in person. And I would agree. The amount of depth and subtle color variation is something that's best experienced up close with this pen. There is a lighter blue and some gray and almost turquoise undertones with a high amount of sparkle. Kind of like stars in the clear midnight sky. Let's take a look at the top of the cap. It comes to a coned point. This transitions into the clip, which, like all of the trim on this pen, is ruthenium plated. It kind of gives it a gunmetal look. I just love the wheel as well. The cap angles up until you reach 3 ruthenium plated bands. Then just past that, there is a small step down to the barrel, which begins with another ruthenium ring. On the barrel, it is engraved with Leonardo, Officina, Italiano, and the number of this pen. As I mentioned before, this is a limited edition of only 15 pens. And then below that, it says Figboot on Pens. One of the things I like about the engraving on Leonardo pens is that it is very subtle. You really hardly even notice it's there. You really don't see it unless the light just happens to hit it just right. And you can even barely feel it with your hand. I like that it's kind of hidden in plain sight. The barrel tapers down at an even angle until you reach another ring signifying the beginning of the piston knob. This is what it looks like with the piston extended. Through most Leonardo retailers, you could purchase a tool which you could use to disassemble any Leonardo fountain pen that features a piston filler. Unless there's a serious issue or conventional cleaning is not working for you, I'd recommend not disassembling your pens. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something. But it's at least nice to have that disassembly option if the need arises. The cap unscrews with a single rotation, and underneath we have a number 6 14 karat gold ruthenium plated nib. I think this gunmetal look matches really well with the darker blue hues of this material. The nib is available in either fine or medium. There are only 15 units. I'm keeping one of them for myself, so of the 14 up for sale, half are fine and half are medium. And here's a look at the Ebonite feed. I really love the swooping, low-profile look of this feed. I just think it looks pretty cool. Here's the section. It's Leonardo's traditional stair-step design, which transitions into the resin threads and a medium step up to the remainder of the barrel. I've always found that this design to feel very ergonomic in the hand in regard to the section. For me, it's really comfortable. The large pen is plenty long enough to use unposted. The cap does post, and it does post securely. It's light enough that if you like to post your caps, it doesn't backweight the pen or throw off the balance, and it doesn't add an inordinate amount of length to the pen either. I mentioned this before, but this is a piston filler. I find the piston operates very smoothly. The nib and feed are also friction fit, so if you'd care to remove them in order to clean the pen, it's really simple to do so. The very limited edition Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Carolina Midnight will be available on my website, figboot.com, at noon Eastern on Saturday, April 16th. The cost of this pen will be $695, which is in line with the other limited edition Brooks Resin Momento Zero Grande models, with the same bells and whistles as this model that you see out on the market. If you are interested in picking one of these up, I would recommend acting sooner rather than later. I have a feeling that the 14 available units won't last long. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. Go with some size comparisons for the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Figboot on pens, the Carolina Midnight version. You can see here in the light how it really catches that, and there's some lighter blue undertones, and then there's some grays in here. Every pen is going to be slightly different, but they are fairly consistent in the way they look, as far that there's not too much inconsistency between models. Just as a comparison, here it is with the original Momento Zero, and you can see how there is a size difference between the Grande and the standard Momento Zero. In regard to a number of other size comparisons, this is what it looks like with a Leonardo Fiore Grande model. And then here it is with a Pura. And then here it is also with the first project that I did with Leonardo, and this one really didn't have a name. It was just called the Momento Zero Figboot on pens, but that's what it looks like in comparison to the new model. In comparison to a couple of other releases of Leonardo's Momento Zero Grande, this is what it looks like with one in Brooks's primary manipulation. And then here is one. This one was called the coffee version. And then this one here is called Ocean Sunrise. And then in regard to some non-Leonardo pens, here it is with a Visconti Homo Sapiens. Then here it is with a Lamy All-Star. This is the Rockster Daydreamer. And then finally, here it is with a Franklin Christoph Model 66. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, this is what it looks like with the Fiore Grande. It's very similar models, except for the Fiore has more of a tapered end as opposed to the coned end. This is what it looks like with the original Momento Zero. And then finally, here it is with the Visconti Homo Sapiens. Here we go with the writing sample for the Leonardo. We'll say Momento Zero Grande, and this is going to be the Carolina Midnight. And then we'll just say Figboot on pens. This is a medium 14 karat gold nib. And the ink that I'm using is the ink that's included in with this pen, which is the very nice Leonardo blue. This is what the blue looks like. It's a nice blue. It's not overly saturated. It's somewhat similar to the Krishna Peacock blue. And then here it is with the Fountain Pen Revolution Royal Flush Blue, which is a little bit on the lighter side. This is what the bottle looks like. It's a nice 40 milliliter bottle, and the neck is wide enough and it's deep enough that you can get just about any nib in here. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I am really enjoying this medium nib here. I think that the 14 karat gold nib here is very nice, very pleasant. I really like that Ebonite Feed. I love the looks of it. You can get a bit of line variation out of here if you push it. The ink flow is very decent on this particular nib, and reverse writing. You can see that reverse writing on this specific nib isn't necessarily its strength. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up just fine. So there is the Leonardo Momento Zero Carolina Midnight Figboot on pens. Kind of a special little additional project just because we had some extra material. And I thought that it would be neat to go ahead and kind of make a souped up version of this pen. As I mentioned before, there will be 14 that are on sale of this limited edition of 15. And those will go on sale on Saturday, April 16th at noon Eastern. I hope that if you want one of these pens, then you'll be able to pick one up. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.